Please welcome to the stage of the Not So Late Show, Mr. Afro Perry! Welcome to Afro Perry's Late Show, and we have a special night for you guys, very special night. We want to start out by taking a look at ABC's Family Switched at Birth television series. And so,
Jump Randy Jackson wears jewelry.
We'll play that.
I love this show.
Oh, I got you something. I got it on this really awesome mission trip to Guatemala. Some, like, 100-year-old man handmade it.
I love it. And I love you. Still, from 1 minute ago.
But it's kind of fun to say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People will arrive. Oh, 9 o'clock. Hey, thank you guys so much for coming. You don't have to stay too long. Honestly, you're just filler at this point.
Well, we're happy to help. Do you want a drink?
Sure.
Kitchen. Why did I do this? I hate throwing parties. This is gonna be just like my 7th grade birthday when everybody went to Jessica Hines' pool party instead of mine.
People will show up. I'm sure everyone's just, fashionably late. It's only been an hour.
One of my least favorite things that humans do. Did you get born again in the past 12 hours?
Really? Didn't notice that. Nikki gave it to me.
It's pretty sick, actually.
Yeah, we're just waiting to see how the rough mix turns out.
Angela set us up with a guy who produced a bunch of Flaming Lips albums.
Awesome.
Toby's a really great guy. Way better than the guys I dated when I was your age.
Oh, hey there.
Hey, yourself.
Angelo has got a pretty sweet collection. Sometimes I wish he was my dad. But not that often.
Hey, do you want to get out of here? Go somewhere more private?
Sure.
So, you okay?
Actually, no.
What happened?
I believe with my whole self that there is a God. And that he has his hands on my life. And I would never want to force you to...
So, you okay?
Actually, no.
What happened?
I believe with my whole self that there
Why
is
is
a
it just
God.
with me?
And that he has his hands on my life. And I would never want to force you to be someone you're not, or to believe in something you don't.
Nikki, I love that you believe that.
But you don't share it with me.
No, but I respect it.
I just don't know if that's enough.
What are you saying?
It's just gonna hurt us even more if we don't end it now.
Are you serious?
You have played the dating game for any length of time. You have been on one side or the other of a breakup. If I had to guess, many breakups don't go down like Toby's and Nikki's, as we saw. Just did. Many are mean, cruel, cold, and probably delivered through text, friends, or Facebook status update. Breakups can leave a world of destruction behind, especially if you have invested a lot of yourself into the other person, and the tsunami of emotions left after the initial surge of the breakup could be the reason why breakups are one of the most hurtful and destructive experiences teens as well as adults face when not handled in a healthy way. Tonight, we're going to look at some breakup tips from the Bible and see if we can help you break up without breaking down. So I want to give everyone give a warm applause to Mr. Dr. Debo Thornton.
Hey y'all! You all!
Doing all right? That's right. Break up without breaking down.
That's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
scary.
That makes you all right.
Hey, have them like nerds.
That's really scary.
Is the bowling not
What's that over there? You all right?
I have a question.
Nice to meet you.
What's up with the bad
That's good. That's good. Hey, wow, y'all look good. That's a good looking audience out there.
Been traveling anyway.
Been traveling, yeah. I've been down to Kansas.
What's with all that nerds?
That's good.
That's right, down to Kansas. Ain't nobody caught that in here, but I've been down to Kansas.
And I've been.
The Carrot Top. Who's Carrot Top?
Ain't the bowling dynamite?
Now, I've grown some carrots in my lifetime, but I never heard them called Carrot Tops. Just trying to say, man. I like your shirt, by the way. You know, purple attracts the ladies. You know, kind of like red does right here, and this fancy tie, and my hair. I just got a perm.
Is the bowling
I think I
dynamite?
can't resist. I'm from the South. All right. So, man,
Here we go.
what we got?
We'll talk to them. If you have played the dating game for any length of time, we just seen that. And so, what are you going to give us some tips tonight?
Well, here's the deal. I'm going to give you some tips to break up without breaking down. How many of y'all ever broke up before? Yeah. That happens. Me too. You know, and here's why. How many of you ever broke up by text before? Anybody got broken up by text before? Anybody text you and break up with you? Yeah. How many of you understand I broke up with somebody over a text? Anybody? All right, here we go. Well, here's why I decided to write my book. Okay, now here's the deal. And y'all can get my book. Y'all can get it online. Okay?
You can get it at the store after the show.
You get after the show. I'll even autograph it for you. All right, but here's the deal. Here's why I decided to write my book, Break Up Without Breaking Down.
Alright.
And you know? There you go. All right. Because I got this text from this girl, Maybelle. Yeah, wow. And here's what it said. And, hey, Afro. I'm having trouble. I ain't very good with this technology stuff. I'm from the country, and I think, can you help me out on it? Am I good? All right, here we go. Maybelle texts me, she says this, and I'll read it to you in her voice. I want us to be like Selena and Justin. And I said, well, baby, they broke up. She said, okay, fine. See you in time. And I said, they split up too. And then she goes, well, what about Brittany and Justin? I said, they split like 10 years ago. She said, obviously you're not catching on. It's over. Dude, Afro, I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried.
Okay, so.
My tie was a snot rag.
Proof you're single.
Okay? It was just bad. And I got to thinking, you know, there's got to be some kind of way to break up without breaking down. And I always had all these people tell me that the Bible had answers to everything. And I got to thinking, you know, Bible's a pretty big book. But I don't know if it's got an answer to break up. So I started looking. And you know what? That's what it did. It has some keys to some healthy breakups.
So tonight you're going to show some practical tips?
I am. And number one is this. Don't raise your hand at me, girl. I'm married. Don't wave at me either. That's what it was. I know. I'm too good to resist right now. Girl, that ain't no baby. That's a style. I'm telling you. After my book, I am a chick magnet. I'm the doctor of breakups.
He's a doctor.
I know you can't imagine that.
If his voice sounds like it's a cheater.
Listen. For every breakup I had to have a hookup. You had to start somewhere. So, master breakups. But number one, here's what you're going to do. If you're going to break up, here's the first thing that you got to do.
Oh, yeah. I would recommend buttoning your shirt. It's not buttoned!
And his tie's on backwards.
Yeah, I know it!
He's got a shirt on under there.
Yeah, that's what I could have done. Here's the first thing you got to do when you break up with somebody. Breakup tip number one. Do it face to face.
Button the other back.
Don't let me breaking up with you, boy. Okay, so here we go. When you break up with somebody, break up face to face. Now, that's kind of hard, isn't it? But you want to break up face to face. And here's why. Here's why I say that, Afro. I say that, Mr. Perry, because in Proverbs, well, you can skip that. But, before we get there, let's do this. All right, Matthew 7:12 says this. This is Jesus' word. He says, do to others whatever you would like them to do to you. This is the essence of all that is taught in all the prophets. Okay? And so that's the first thing we got to remember. The second thing is that our whole life, okay, should be one that honors God. Okay? That's what Paul writes in Colossians 3:17, the verse that we just seen before, is that everything that we do, okay, we should do it and represent Jesus well. And everything includes breakups. Alright? And so that's the two things that we got to keep in mind. So when we go face to face, there's a biblical thing behind it. And hey yo, Gangnam style. Hey, listen to me. You're going to want to know this, all right, when you got to break up with somebody, you little heartbreaker, all right? But here we go. So, in Matthew, okay, chapter 18, Jesus is talking about confrontation, all right, conflict within the church. And he says, if you got a problem with somebody, okay, you go one-on-one with them and you talk it out. You can go forward, sir. And you go one-on-one with them and talk it out, okay? And I think that's the same thing that can apply to our lives as well when we go to the dating area, Afro, is that if I've got a problem with you inside the church and I should go talk to you about it face-to-face, then shouldn't I do that in all my relationships? And so in Matthew 18, chapter 15, verse 15, it says, if another believer sins against you, go privately and point out the offense. And so, dude, next time you want to break a young girl's heart, dude, then you need to do it face-to-face, you know? And it leaves the possibility of them misunderstanding what you're saying. The text stinks, don't it?
No,
Yeah, let me tell you about it.
Let me tell you about it. The text stinks. How about this? How about this? Anybody ever been broken up by a status update? That's bad, isn't it? That's rough. You know, you get on, you know, your current boyfriend, girlfriend's Facebook, and you're looking, listen, and you're looking, all right, you're looking, and you know, you just love seeing their face. You get on their Facebook page and see if they wrote anything nice about you. Your hair smells so good today. And instead of finding that, you're like, status update, single. And you're like, well, okay. And everybody's commenting on it, and it becomes a spectator sport then. And that's how it was never meant to be. Okay? That's definitely not what we want somebody to do to us, and so we definitely shouldn't do it to them. And when we undermine people, when we hurt people like that, we don't honor God. And so if there's a conflict, including breaking up, and y'all want to look at all different ways that you break up and stuff, but face-to-face is the best way to do it. It's the strongest signal. You can see each other's body language, okay? You can see and make sure that there's no misunderstanding, but do it face-to-face. And I'll say this, if you're man or woman enough to date, you're man or woman enough to break up and do it right. Okay? And so, but face-to-face, face-to-face.
So we got that right. So if we're going to break up with somebody, no matter if the breath stinks, boogers hang out in their nose.
Don't matter, boogers. It don't matter.
We got to do it face-to-face. Do it in person.
It's hard, and so I'm going to give you some tips. Y'all want to know some tips for breaking up face-to-face?
Don't look like you.
He does have a good point.
I'm not 2.5 times bigger than you. I'll take you
You
out.
look like this, you wouldn't even have to worry about breaking up.
Listen, all the meanness! All the meanness, you sound like my exes! Listen! I am a world-renowned doctor on breakups. Here we go. Even though y'all are saying mean, hurtful things about the doctor right now, I'm going to give you some tips on breaking up. Who would like to hear some tips on breaking up face-to-face?
Doctor.
See, you agree with the doctor takes care of you. All right, here we go.
I agree with the doctor.
Listen, I'm the doctor of breakups. Listen.
Where did you get your
All right, listen.
degree?
Listen, Heartbreak University. Now listen. All right, here we go. Here's some tips breaking up face-to-face. All right. Number one is go somewhere that's public. You're like, go somewhere that's public. Go to the park. Listen, I'll tell you why here in a second. I'll tell you why here in just a second. All right? Go to a coffee shop. Okay? Go somewhere that you don't know people, but people are around. And here's why. Because Josh is happy right now that I gave him chocolates. And he's not going to be happy if I sit here and break his heart. Okay? That's just his game. Listen, guys, listen, follow me. All right, here's why. Number one, hey, listen.
Hey Josh, can I ask a question?
Listen. Shh. Right here. Here's why. Number one is they're less likely to cause a scene if people are around. Okay?
I don't know, some people feel like.
Some people do. But here's the deal. Especially if you've been in an abusive relationship. Did you know 1 out of 3, this is statistics now, it may be higher because a lot of girls probably don't report it. 1 out of 3 girls are abused in a dating relationship. Whether it's verbal, sexually, physically, or whatever. If you're in a relationship, girls, and I know guys, you can be abused too, but most of the time it's the other way around, okay? Here's the deal, guys. If you're in an abusive relationship, take somebody with you, okay? And go to both places. Because here's the deal with abusive relationships, okay? I know it's hard for you to imagine. Pretend like I'm this hot chick, okay? Listen to the doctor, son. Listen to the doctor. All right? Listen to the doctor. Listen to the doctor. Listen to the doctor. All right? If I break up with you and you've been abusing me, here's the characteristic: is you're not going to get my message real clear. Most of the time. You're not going to get it. Exactly. And so you need somebody to go with you so you can help relay the message and also for protection, okay? Guys, it's about safety, all right? It is what it is, all right? But go do it face to face. Get somewhere where if Afro took a chair and beat you over the head, everybody can see it, and that way you got witnesses. I know it's bad to say in court and stuff, but do it face to face, all right?
Well, Dr. Devo, those seem like pretty good, simple tips, but how do you know what to say when you finally meet face to face?
Oh, that's tough. Here's the deal. In my experience of breakups, okay? There's just one time, now believe it or not, I had to break up with a girl. They wouldn't break up with me, but I was breaking up with this girl this time, after. I know. Sometimes it's heartbreaking. And, man, I remember going to her and meeting her face to face at our favorite coffee shop. I got vanilla bean. I don't drink coffee. And I looked at her. And I said, Pooh Bear, I said, there's something I need to tell you. She looked at me with them pretty brown eyes. And I just started bawling like a little baby. And I didn't break up with her. And he broke up with me the next day. But here's what I found. Number one is that we have to speak the truth when we meet face to face. All right, it's pretty simple. In Ephesians chapter 4, verse 25, Paul says, "So stop telling lies." Okay, those of us who are believers that we're to tell the truth. Stop telling lies. Let us tell our neighbors the truth, for we are all parts of the same body. And again, Paul is like Jesus is talking about how to relate to each other in the church. But if we're supposed to relate to each other in the church as well, we should definitely be doing it in front of other non-believers. And let me just throw this. This is one of the boundaries we talked about last week, is that you shouldn't date somebody who's not a Christian. Okay? And so especially if you're dating somebody like you're supposed to that's another believer, that we should be honest with one another. We should sit down and tell them the truth. And so the truth is what you got to tell them. That's pretty simple, but it's easier said than done. And so, have you ever been in a situation where you're going to go tell somebody something and then you forget it? And you know, a lot of times too, like if you've ever had to do this and you've ever been broken up, or you know, you're about to break up with somebody and you're actually doing it face to face, sometimes what you have in your head sounds so good and you can't remember what it was. The emotions and stuff, you get overwhelming and you feel like a pot line's in your stomach and you just like, I don't know, like just squeezing it. These butterflies are coming up and you just want to throw up and all that stuff. You can't remember what to say. So here's some tips, okay? Here's some tips to help you tell the truth when you go to break up with somebody face to face. Number one is pray, okay? Pray. Here's the thing, guys. It's pretty simple. Number one, listen. If that boy or girl's not showing you love, like Paul describes it in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 7 that we looked at in week 1, it's time to kick him or her to the curb. Number two, if they're asking you to compromise your boundaries and your Christian lifestyle, it's time to kick them to the curb. So pray that you go and that you're able to speak the truth and that you're able to do it in a loving way, in a way that you can take a stand for your faith and challenge the other person in their faith. So pray about it, okay? Ask God, and then here's the next thing you need to do, because you can pray about something, and you might have it all in your head, but you need to write it down. And you can text yourself on your cell phone, use your iPad, you can go pen and paper, whatever. But at least have something like a list that you can make sure that you cover everything with. You know, just, you don't want to like read it, you know, because I do not like you and we are breaking up because, you know, it's not very good. But you should have, you know, if it's heartfelt, it should come, but that way it's all there, okay? And then if you need to, you can practice it a little bit. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of practice before you go and tell them, and that way you know what you want to do. But pray, write, and go do. Okay? Pray, think, write, and go do. And that's some tips on telling the truth, because you don't want to lie to somebody and say, hey, Lane, I'm breaking up with you because you're short. And it ain't got nothing to do with it because you're short. And let it be like calling me the next day and be like, hey, honey, I grew like 3 inches last night. Hey, we good to date again? But the reason's still there. And so you need to be upfront and honest why you're breaking up. Okay?
So you have guided us all the way through breaking up with someone. Well, what about after everything is said and done?
You know, after everything's said and done. How many's went back out with an ex like a couple of days or a couple of weeks afterward? Alright, how many of y'all had a rebound relationship? Just go right on.
Of course, Brandon.
Right? You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. The doctor's breakups have been there. Okay? But here's the deal. Contrary to what people used to think, and actually, like, research has shown it to be true, is that jumping right into another relationship after getting out of one is not the healthiest thing to do. Hey guys, y'all listen. Because here's what's going to happen. Y'all going to break up with somebody, then you're going to jump right into a relationship that's worse than the first. And you're going to be like, how did that happen? Why did it happen? Alright? But here's what you do. After the breakup, date God for a while. Get in that rebound relationship for a while. Date God. Now that sounds so weird. There's a book in the Bible called Song of Songs, and somebody call it Song of Solomon. And people have long debated whether it's a love story between a husband and wife, and that's all it is, or if it represents God's love for Israel and the church. And the fact of the matter is that it's both. That it's a true love story between Solomon and one of his wives, and it's representative love of us and God. And one of the verses there in Song of Songs is this right here. In 7:10, it says, I am my beloved, and his desire is for me. You see, it's God's desire for us. His desire is to know us, and for us to know him, and for us to just spend time with him, and talk to him, and know him more, and to live for him, and to serve him. And his desire is for us is to be whole, and to have a healthy marriage in the future, and to have healthy relationships now. And so you date God for a while. And I know that sounds so abstract and so hard to grasp. And so hopefully to shed some light on it, I'm going to let Amy come and share her personal experience with this. And then we're going to go into our small groups.
Hey, Captain Vet here, too.
Will you sign my arm?
Guys, y'all listen. Hey, on anything that you get, this is the most important thing that you get.
Okay, guys. What I'm about to say, I'm not proud of, but it happened. And I'm just gonna let you know what happened, and hopefully you can learn from my mistake, because I really would have appreciated having somebody let me know about this before I went and did it. I was dating in 2006, and thought that I had, it says, try to date another Christian. And I thought I had found another Christian, and I was dating this person. This person would listen to Caleb all the time, and before coming to my house, would come in and say, I just heard this amazing song from Caleb. You gotta listen, turn it on. And I'd listen, and it was Matthew W. Smith, Healing Rain. And I'm like, okay, great, yeah, great guy. Might be a keeper, might be the one. And months went by, and we're dating. And what I didn't notice is that I go to church every Sunday, and he didn't. Why didn't I notice that? Can somebody tell me? Remember why?
You were blind.
By what?
Love.
No love. What did we talk about in week 1? Lust. I was blinded by lust because lust totally gave me a different view of what this guy was like. I would have seen the fruits that he was not bearing if it wasn't for the lust. And that lust was, you know, it totally makes you see something that's not there. What you want it to be. And what I wanted it to be is what I saw. But he would back it up when nobody was around. Oh, healing rain. Oh, I was reading the Bible and I saw this verse. And, you know, there I am, like, fish. Anybody ever caught fish and got one and you're like, reeling them in. That was me. Reeling me in. After 8 months, it began to get a little abusive at times where this person that I was seeing didn't want me talking to other people. Didn't want me doing certain things. I know this is going to sound kind of weird, but I work for a police department. This person would actually drive by my office to make sure, when I was working overtime, to make sure I was working overtime. And then, when they got caught driving by my office, and I said, well, what's going on? Well, I just needed to make sure you were where you said you were. I was still blinded by lust and thought, oh, such a great guy checking up on me. Slowly deteriorated from what I thought was healthy to all of a sudden I could see it's unhealthy and I need to get out. And I tried to get out of the relationship one-on-one, in person, and he didn't want to take no for an answer. And the checking up on me while I'm at work turned into following me home from work. Turned into I'm taking my daughter somewhere and he shows up and he should have no idea where I'm going, what time I'm doing these things. I knew how to get out of it, but it took, I mean, me being in law enforcement, it took a force to get this person away from me. What I realized later, as soon as that was over, after about 8, 9 months, it ended. I had another good friend of mine in the police department who had seen what I was experiencing and said, hey, I know you're finally rid of him, and I'm glad you're rid of him. He was no good for you. But I got so-and-so over here I want you to meet. And I really want you to meet him because I think he's a really squared away guy, and I know you're open to dating. And something inside me just said, how did I end up with the guy I was with, and how did I let it go so far unhealthy? And until I can answer those two questions, why would I ever date somebody again, right? Because how do I know that the next relationship I get into isn't going to be just like that one? How do I know I'm not going to find I'm going to be blinded by lust and find Mr. So-and-so who, what's the next step? So then I made an oath to myself and to God that I was going to find, I had moved. I actually, to get away from this guy, I had to move 2 hours away to get away from him. So I moved 2 hours away, and here I am at my new house 2 hours away. I had to find a church. And I didn't call it dating God, but that's what my insides told me. My insides said, get back to God. Heal, because I knew my heart was broken. Lust told me I wanted this guy to be a certain thing. I thought this guy was Mr. Right. Lust told me that. The world told me and taught me that. And now all of a sudden, I was embarrassed. You don't know how many of my friends saw this guy checking up on me. You don't know how many people I had to go to and say, and I don't know what he's going to do next. And that's embarrassing when you're in your career. You're 12 years into your career. That's pretty embarrassing to have to do. But what I did is take time out for God. And I said, God, heal me. Teach me. Number one, how did I make this bad decision? And number two, how can you restore me so that I'm not looking for Mr. Lust again? How can I look for the one you've got? I know, Adam and Eve. You made us for each other. You made us for each other. I know you have somebody special in mind for me. Help me to find that person and heal me so that I can find that person. And through church and the Bible and taking one-on-one time with God. And I didn't call it dating God, but that's exactly what I was doing. After work, I was opening up the Word. When the doors of the church were open, I was hurt. I was in there praying that God would heal my pain and help me to find somebody healthy. Help me to find somebody that's after God's heart. Because if they're after God's heart, I can give them mine, right? And I'm not kidding you. 3 months. I did this for 3 months. And I didn't know how long it was going to take. I was quite comfortable. I told my friend when she said, I want you to meet so-and-so. he really wants to go out with you. I showed him a picture of you. He's seen you because I teach the academy at Greensboro Police Department. I teach the academy, and he come through the academy. And she said, he's seen you teach. He says he really, really wants to date you. I said, I want nothing to do with no man until I can figure out how I can see Mr. Wrong and Mr. Right. And the only person that can show me that's God. And she was tugging. She's a really good friend. Had been a good friend for 11, 12 years. No, I know him. I know you. He's good. He's good. Come on, come on. And I said, no. After 3 months, I'm not kidding you. I woke up one day, and as soon as my eyes opened, and I looked outside, saw daylight, I could hear God say, you're healed. You're complete. And I got the vision of a heart, and a heart not being broken, but being totally mended and totally healthy. That's what I could see. And so I knew, okay, God's given me permission. He's healed me. I know what I did wrong, and I know what I got to do from now on. So then I started praying, God, there's going to be people out there. There's going to be guys out there who are going to try to date me. Show me the ones that you want me to see, and bring to me the one you mean for me to have. And if anybody else comes to me that is not the one you want me to have, open my eyes and show me they're not the one. Oh, because sometimes he can make it loud and clear, but if you don't open your eyes, you can't see. So I was begging and praying, show me the one that you would have me have one day. And the day I met my husband, I am not kidding you, I was in a parking lot, and when he approached me to give me his phone number, I'm not kidding you, I had a friend who said, he's coming to give you his phone number. And I was standing in my car waiting. When he walked and got over me, I did not see him, and this could be nothing other than God. All I saw was it was a blue sky with cumulus clouds, big puffy cotton looking ones. I saw the sky, and I saw those clouds, and the clouds parted, and a flesh hand, just like my hand, came out of those clouds down and did this, and then slowly faded away, and the blue sky came. God said he made us in his image. That hand that came down was made in my image. I was made in his, right? And he was answering my prayer and making it clear to me he's the one. I have no doubt if I wouldn't have taken time out to get to know God and understand why I was choosing the people in my life that I was choosing, and get God to heal me and help me understand what I had done wrong and how to get better people in my life, I know I would not have found this man. God could not give me this man until I'd learned that much about myself. And you can't learn that about yourself through your friends. Only God can show you who he created you to be and who he wants you to find. Does that make sense? I've not shared that with many people, but I want you to know, because I don't want y'all to make the same mistakes I made.